Welcome back, Darkness Debaters. How are you doing, Brandy?
Doing good. I'm ready. I'm ready to get this next episode started.
Good deal.
Let's introduce our special guest, Mr. Randy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
We are doing an episode dedicated to Men's Mental Health Month, which is June. And we're going to, it kind of goes along with the last series that we finished about Dom and Davion for men's mental health, domestic violence, because men can be victims of domestic violence just like women can. And it's not talked about much. There's a lot of reasons that men don't report it, and we're going to go over some of those here today. But before we get started, don't forget to check out our Facebook. Our merch link is on our Facebook. Get you some merch. I got one of the, it's the same as the background we got going on today, this shirt. We got what was done.
I wish I had one.
One of these days, maybe. So let's get this started. Brandy, do you want to kick us off and tell us a little bit about some things that you found about men's mental health?
Yeah, I just want to start off the episode by first saying that, you know, this is gonna come out on Father's Day, and so it's gonna be like our men's episode and a Father's Day episode. And I first want to say that Mandi and I at Darkness Debaters, we just want to wish all the men who celebrate Father's Day out there a happy Father's Day, and we hope it's a blessed day and it's a day that's full of joy and spent with your loved ones. Now, that being said, I know that these holidays can sometimes be tough for some people. And, you know, however that looks like for you, if you're estranged from your children, if you don't have children, if there is something going on between you and your dad, if he may have passed already, I know that this day can be a rough day. And our thoughts are with you. And you know what? You're not alone. We love you and we're thinking of you, and it's okay. If today is not your day, it's okay to maybe do something else for yourself today. Maybe do a self-care day instead of acknowledging the day for what it is. That being said, I have learned that, you know, with men, depression and anxiety can look a little different than what you might see maybe with a woman. With a woman, you might see her crying. You might see her just overly, you know, sad and emotional. With a man, they may suffer in silence, okay? Their mental disturbances may come out as being angry or combative. You may ask them what's going on, and their response may be, they're fine. You know, men have this thing about them where they got to be, you know, the tough one, the provider. They've got to endure all things, and they don't want to be seen as weak for going through some stuff. But you know what? We all go through the things, and there's people out there and there's help out there, and you just got to let somebody know what's going on.
I agree. So let's hear the male perspective on that. So tell us, Randy, Has there been a time in your life that you've gone through depression and you felt like kind of like it's too bad? You just got to be a man and man up, and you can't talk about it. You just got to swallow it.
All the time. All the time. I mean, as I've mentioned before, last time I was with y'all, to me, everybody's different. There are certain things that you can, I don't want to use the word stereotype, but apply to demographics, but it's not categorically true for, all across the demographic. So I can sit here and say what I've been through, and a lot of guys can watch this and identify with it. Some guys might not be able to. That being said, it's what Brandy said. And a lot of people would tag it as toxic masculinity. They'd be like, well, y'all need to get out of that, because that's that whole mentality of guys have got to be the tough one. Guys have got to be the alpha male and blah, blah, blah. But to me and to a lot of guys, because, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm talking just for myself, because I have had these discussions with plenty of other guys over the years. It does come up in conversations, especially now on social media, man. There's Facebook groups where guys talk about this. I'm sure there are plenty of Facebook groups and other social media for women to talk about their stuff, So it's like human nature. We've just developed this since ancient times. Guys are supposed to be the providers. Guys are supposed to go out and do the work and pay the bills and fix things and everything. And even though there has been a rise of, the feminism and the idea of toxic masculinity, it's still there. It's still a prevalent thing in our culture that guys are supposed to be the tough ones. And it's real weird that there are women out there who will make fun of guys. They'll say, oh, it's okay for men to cry. Guys don't have to be the tough ones. That's toxic masculinity. But if a guy turns around and does show emotion and break down and cry, then they make fun of him. And so, yeah, you get in this thing where, man, I'm just going to bottle it up and I'm just going to carry it and I'm just going to hold it inside.
Yeah, and that's probably like the worst thing that you can do, is bottle up and hold it inside.
And it is.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you've and I'm trying to not pigeonhole this scenario and just say your significant other. It could be your mom, it could be your sisters or whatever, or even guys in your life. But it's when you go to try to talk about it and people won't take your feelings seriously. Okay, well, I understand where you're coming from, blah, blah, blah. Then, yeah, you do. You just, it happens a couple of times and you're like, you know what? Never mind. Forget it. I'm just going to, just walk around with it, man, and just whatever. So.
Yeah, I feel like society, I'm a boy mom, and we raised our boys to process their feelings in a healthy way and acknowledge their feelings and use their words to express their feelings. And I do now from kind of, I'm not a man and I'm not trying to put myself in a man's position and say, I understand what men are going through, but having kind of next to my son I do see that society looks at them like, you're a grown man, you don't get to be sad. And I see it pretty often. It's like women, it's perfectly acceptable for us to cry and be emotional. And we've got depression, we've got, all these things. We're overloaded and overwhelmed. But it's not okay for a man to show that. And I've seen that. And I do see it from other women. And I see women with their significant others who will just about get irate if you suggest that maybe their significant other might have to be depressed or need some attention. And those women will turn it around and go, oh, he thinks he's depressed. He don't put up with what I have to put up with. And we've got to stop competing with each other. It's not a flex to be the most depressed person in the room. It's not something you should strive for to win the trauma Olympics or the depression Olympics. Like Randy and I are married. If I'm depressed and he's depressed, him being depressed does not negate me being depressed. Does that make sense? It doesn't make my feelings any less valid. And it almost feels like sometimes we as women will get into a competition where we have to let people know that we're way more depressed or we're way more overwhelmed. And I think we got to stop that competition. And I've been guilty of that in my life too. I've been the one saying, oh, you think you got it bad? Well, this is what all I had to do. And we've got to stop that. At some point, we've got to have the growth to say, there's not a winner here. And it doesn't have to be like that. And that's just something that me personally, that I've kind of, how do I put this? As I've grown up and experienced life and been around the typical tough guy who shows his feelings once in a while, and men who show their feelings more often. That's just something I've learned. There's a musical artist. I'm going to put a clip here. I want you guys to listen to this. His name is Dax, D-A-X, and he has a song called "To Be a Man." And the first time I heard it, it killed me because the comments are full of men saying this is exactly how I feel. And I've heard women kind of badmouth that song, like, we don't care how men feel. Y'all don't really have it that bad. This song is exaggerating, and let's stop doing that. Woman to woman, your husband or partner or significant other being depressed does not take away from you being overwhelmed. But if anything, can't y'all come together to try to be healthy together? Go to therapy together, do something, rather than tell other people and your significant other that they don't have it as bad as you, so who cares? Because the fact is, men commit suicide at a far higher rate than women do. Far higher. So that would be my biggest request for women out there. It's just, don't ask your husband, are you okay? Because he's going to say, yeah, I'm fine. Ask him something like, what's going on in your world? Like, how are you feeling about this? If, let's say there's been a death in the family. Tell me how you feel about that. Because I know women will do the same thing. If somebody says, hey, how are you doing? I'm fine. So rather than doing that, ask a question that they have to answer with more than one word. Because if they're your significant other, especially, why are you with them if you don't care how they feel? And that's the big thing. And if you don't care how they feel, you shouldn't be with them.
I
See,
agree. I agree.
it does. It goes both ways. You know, we've all heard the anecdote, and when I say anecdote, an anecdote is somebody telling a story from experience, personal experience, or whatever. Usually, so it's happened throughout, generations. Where, for example, you'll have a woman at home doing, the home chores, taking care of the kids, cleaning the house, blah blah blah. Guy comes home and he's complaining about, man, work was so hard and this, that, and other thing. And the women say, well, we've got it rough too doing here. And for generations, there were guys who didn't get that. And they would say, oh, you ain't got it hard. Get your butt out and go get a job, and you'll find out what hard really is. And that was toxic. And that was, like what you're saying, people not listening. But it goes the other way too. And you could say that maybe after all those years and all those generations of men treating women like that, now the tables have turned, if you want to put it that way. That doesn't make it right. Getting back at somebody or saying, oh, well, now you're finding out how we feel or whatever, isn't fixing the problem. You would be glad that guys are now figuring out how y'all felt all these years, or how your moms or your grandmas felt, whatever. But still, on the other hand, guys are going through it too. And from my experience, there is a lot of what you said, man. It's like when a guy finally does tell a woman how he's feeling, then they're like, well, too bad, you're the guy, you're supposed to, you want to be all masculine and everything, be masculine and just over it and stuff. But I totally agree with you, man. That's something, that's one of those human nature things that has just gone on for thousands of years, generation after generation, that we need to break that cycle and say, if you're going to be with somebody, listen to them and care about them. And that goes for both sides. It's different for women than it is for men, but it's different for men than it is for women. So it's just, but that one stat that you quoted, that tells a big story right there.
Yeah, so, let's talk about maybe some things that might trigger a man's depression or anxiety or, mental health crisis. Maybe, he's burnt out. He's just burnt out from working so hard. Or maybe the pressures of fatherhood are getting to him. Maybe, he's aging and, he can't do what he wants to do. And it's kind of a blow to, I know personally with my husband, he was an auto mechanic for years and years. He was always on the go, always, he had his motorcycle and he'd work through the week and he'd go ride his bike, to cool off and kind of relax. And, that was his thing. Now, he's in poor health. He can't work anymore. He can't work on cars. He can't fix things like he did for 30 plus years. and he can't ride a bike, and it's a blow to his mental health. And these are just all things that we need to look for when the men in our lives are going through it, because like we said, they're probably not going to tell you. They probably going to seem angrier and more combative. They might start drinking or doing other things to kind of cope with things. And these are kind of signs that we need to look for before it's too late. Would you agree with that, Randy?
You nailed so much stuff right on the man, that because I'm going through that now. And when I was a kid, we never heard about testosterone, or like low T. There's so much stuff now that we're finding out, and that and I honestly believe it's because there's been chemicals in our environment that have caused it.
Yeah.
But not getting into that, but saying I'm going through the same thing. When I was younger, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I wasn't the biggest guy, I wasn't the strongest guy, the fastest guy, and I never claimed to be. It just never was. I just did what I did at work. Every job I was at, for years and years, every job I was at, it got to be where guys I worked with figured out, man, if you need something done, call Randy. Call that dude, because he's going to move it, he's going to lift it, he's going to push it, he's going to figure it, he's going to get it done. And I just did it because I could. I was physically, pardon my language, but it's a phrase that they used to use, man. I was just a cockstrong redneck kid, And I mean, and that's just the way it was. And there's a lot of guys out there like that. Like you said, like your husband. That's the way we work. Man, we just, you do it. You do the job. Okay, whatever it is. And to this day, I get tired of hearing people complain, about, man, just do the job, bro. But when I hit about 35, about my late 30s, my body started breaking down and going, bro, we've done this, and we can't. And it's just, and since then it's just been steady, and I can't do the stuff that I used to do anymore. And you're right, as a guy, and some guys have that pride. They look at it and they boast about it, and that never was the thing for me. But even so, knowing now, man, I go to lift something that I used to lift, or I go to run somewhere that I used to run, or whatever, and I can't do it. I just physically can't do it. And it's like, and it's almost like it's a part of your identity. It's a part of who you are, who you've always been. And all of a sudden, you're not that anymore. And there's no, and unless you've got a bunch of money to go get the meds or whatever to try to fix it, it's just something you got to deal with, man. And it does. It freaking gets in your head and just, man, I don't know. I don't know how to put it without just sounding really freaking negative. It is. It hurts you. It hurts you mentally. It does.
And just know that, like you said, there's a lot of other guys out there going through the same thing. And whoever may be listening to this, you're not alone. And reach out. And unfortunately, we all age, and it happens to the best of us. And you're not alone. And I just want to say that I understand. I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to add anything? Yeah.
We do want to, our audience, honestly, depending on which platform, some of our platforms, we have more male followers and audience than we do women. And you guys out there, we wanted Randy to come on because we don't want to be just a couple of cackling hens telling you how you feel. We want you to know that we hear you, and kind of from a guy's perspective, that it's, I don't want to say normal, because that sounds weird, but you're not alone. You're not the only one feeling like that. Something's not wrong with you because you're getting older and you feel like your body's breaking down, or you went through something hard and there's trauma you need to work past, and it's in your head. And suicide is never going to fix it, and it's not the answer. And we want you to know that. We want you to stay here. And we want you to know that we see you, we hear you, and we want you here. And how can we help you stay here? Because Darkness Debaters isn't just about rehashing, true crime or old cases, we do that too, and we want to bring awareness. This is part of that awareness. There are some crimes that happen, a lot of crimes that happen due to poor mental health. And it's important to us to be advocates as much as we can.
So let me touch on something else. In a way, Brandy kind of got to this, but not exactly. So as a guy, a lot of us are raised with this, man, if you start a family, it's your job to make sure that family's being taken care of, that they got a roof over the head, food on the table, this, that, and other thing. The economy and everything affects everybody. But because of that upbringing or whatever, I think it affects guys worse, because there are women out there, especially single moms, who know it, but they're kind of usually put in a situation because something happened with their husband, or you know what I'm saying. It's different for guys. And I'm not talking about these guys who don't handle their business. Quite honestly, F y'all. But there are guys out there trying to handle their business, and every time we freaking turn around, something's happening. It's like, God dang, the price of everything is going up, and the job market is sucking. And when you are not making enough money, or you find yourself out of work for whatever reason, then I'm telling you right now, man, there are guys out there who are dealing with that, and you think, well, that guy, if he really wanted to find a job, he could find a job or whatever. And there are guys out there trying to get jobs and can't do it. And, and it affects us, especially if you've got a family, because you're looking at that woman and those kids, and you've got it ingrained in your DNA that the reason they're hungry, the reason there's holes in the ceiling and they're not getting fixed, or the reason the air conditioner is not went out and you can't get it fixed or whatever, is your fault. The reason your family is suffering is your fault. So, yeah, it's different things that weigh on men. So,
yeah, I agree. So yeah, let's talk about some things that we need to look at because, like you said, Mandy, suicide is more prevalent in men than in women. I will tell you right now that suicide has touched me personally in my life. My brother-in-law took his life unexpectedly about 3 years ago. And like it was very we knew he was going through some things, but and looking back on it now, I kind of see a lot of the red flags. He always put on a good face. He was always the jokester, and he was always trying to be the funny one. And he was the oldest child, so he was always the one that took care of everybody else when my husband and them were growing up. And he went through some stuff, and one night he just took his own life, like without warning. And I want to tell you that suicide may be what you think is a quick fix for you, but it leaves behind devastation for everybody that loved you. Everybody that loved you. My husband and his brother were kind of on the outs when it happened. And he suffers from that constantly. I wish I was talking with him. I wish I was there. I wish I knew. And I'm like, I know. All he had to do was come to us, talk to us. It didn't have to be like that. What was so terrible that he had to take his own life. He had small children that are now growing up without him. His mom, of course, she's devastated, because you're not supposed to bury your children. It's just not what's supposed to happen. And it's just been really hard on everybody that he has left behind, and wished he would have came to us and talked to us, because whatever it was, we could have got him through it. We could have conquered it together. We could have got through it, because life it does life, it has its ups and downs. So just look for the signs. Maybe they're angry, like I said, a lot more than they used to be. Maybe they're drinking or doing other things a lot more than they used to be. Maybe they kind of say it jokingly, well, life would be better without me. And no, we don't say those things. We don't do those things. Maybe things like that. We've got to really talk to our men before it's too late. We really do.
Yeah.
That's what, even just as human beings, just each other. Just man, when you see a friend, when you talk to a friend, say, hey man, how you doing? Things going? How's the family? Things going okay? And just tell them, man, if there's ever anything you need to talk about, hit me up.
Right.
I do want to add, and I'm not going to make this about myself, but I want to add a perspective here. I'm not going to go into this whole story. But in 2017, I was on that ledge and I made an attempt and it was unsuccessful, obviously. And I'm so glad now. But I was convinced that everybody would be better off if I wasn't here. My kids, my husband, my whole family. And anybody out there that might be having those feelings, I know that ledge is so, once you make that decision, everything is so peaceful. And it's certain. And all your problems it's over. And that's a lie. It's a lie. Because what I was going through at that time took me 6 months to get past once I reached out for help. I almost traded in the rest of my life 9 years ago for 6 months because I was lying to myself. And it's not because I was looking for the easy way out. It is because depression, anxiety, PTSD, all of those things, untreated, and I wouldn't talk to anybody. I felt guilty for bringing up my issues when other people have it so much worse. Your feelings are valid. It doesn't matter if somebody else has it worse. Your feelings are valid. And sometimes we don't reach out for help because we don't know what we need. We don't know what to say. We don't want to bother people. We don't want to make somebody else sad because we're sad. But what we have to do when we're in that headspace is you have to reach out to somebody and say, I need to talk to somebody. And if you don't have somebody in your life that you can reach out to, we've got numbers here for you. And there is somebody that will talk to you. Please stay. Send a message to Darkness Debaters on Facebook. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us. We're here. We'll put you in contact with anybody we can. We'll do what we can for you. It's not just lip service. Because I've been there. And I'm telling you, if you feel like everybody would be better off without you, that's a lie. Don't stand on that ledge. Come back here. Please come back here. I'm thankful now. But
it's tough. You got anything to add, Brandy?
I wasn't going to bring it up, but I mean, I've been there too, and then that's exactly where I was. I'm not going to go into details or whatever. It was my fault that I was where I was at. Everybody's different. Everybody's story is different. Everybody's mentality about how they think about things is different. For me, sitting around as a Christian, I had come up with, to me, suicide is the ultimate sin. Everybody says the ultimate sin is this, it's that. To me, it's suicide. Because I look at how we spend eternity is based on how we live this comparatively infinitesimal amount of time that God gave us in this life on this world. So that tells me that this life that he gave us on this world is precious. So I was always like, you get in a weird thing when you've got that kind of mentality, because you're sitting there going, well, I'm not going to do it because I believe it's the ultimate sin, so I can talk about it, I can think about it, because I'm not going to do it. You know, it's like now I joke and everything about drinking because I know I'm not going to do it. You know, but I did. I got to a point one day where it was like a flip switch, and I was done. Like she said, you flip that switch, and it's just like, this is it. I'm good now because I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to. And the thing that kept me from doing it at the last millisecond was, I can't do this to my boys. I mean, I was there. And that was the last thing that hit my mind, because I was sitting there going, I'm going to get away with this because I'm out here by myself. Nobody comes over and checks on me. So it's not like nobody's going to know until somebody wonders where I'm at and comes to look for me. So I'm good. I can do this, and I'm out. And right at the last millisecond of thinking, I thought, wait a minute, I can't do this to my boys. And if it hadn't been for them, I'd have. So, and not everybody has that though. Not everybody has. There are people out there who are truly alone. Their families have kicked them out. They don't have kids. And to those people, all I can say is, if I was in that situation, this is where my redneck would kick in, because I'm stubborn as a redneck, and I'm like, nobody's going to take me out unless I want to go out. You know, that's the way I am about everything. Everything, when stuff hits me down, it's a challenge, and I look at it and I go, nah, you ain't. You know, you might win, but it's going to be a fight. I ain't, so my enemies, whether they be human or problems or whatever, they might pile up and get me, but when I die, I'm going to die on a pile of their bodies, So, but not everybody's got that mentality, man. And it's just, and so I see it where my perspective as a Christian, not everybody's a Christian. So it's different for everybody, man. So all I can say is, don't do it, man. If you get to that point, get pissed off and say, God damn, I'm not gonna let whatever the problem is win. That's the way I would with my alcohol addiction. You just got to get pissed off about it, really. That whatever it is that's gotten you to that point, and say, and call somebody, reach out and get help. But yeah, don't just give up, man.
Yeah, that's all good advice. It's all good advice.
Absolutely. Well, darkness debaters, I think I'm wrapped up. I think I've said kind of made my point. Take care of each other, and take care of yourselves. To the men out there, do take care of yourself, and your feelings are valid, and you deserve to be heard just like women do. And women out there, take care of your men. Take care of your man. And I don't mean with traditional gender roles or anything like that. I mean emotionally, mentally. Most men don't receive flowers until they die. When's the last time you sent your husband flowers? Because I can tell you from firsthand experience, most husbands, or the ones that I know of, enjoy getting flowers. So send them. What else you got, Brandy?
In my case, my husband loves to get food, so
Yeah.
I give him food. So,
I was gonna say,
whatever he likes.
so
Yeah,
Whatever
he likes. But maybe your man does love flowers, and then ask him, do you love flowers? And I'm sure if I gave my husband flowers, he would just say, that whatever I gave him, he would love and appreciate it. That's what he always says. So, but Mandi is going to put up here the numbers for the 988 number. She's going to put the domestic violence number up because men. We discussed it at length in our last series, the Mackenzie Shirilla series. But men do experience domestic violence just as much as women. It may look a little different. They do experience it, and we're going to put that number up for you guys. Where she's going to put those numbers up. There is help out there. If you don't have anybody in your life to talk to, these numbers, they are willing. That's what they do. That is their passion. These people, they volunteer, and they genuinely want to help. Okay? It's their passion. So reach out to somebody in these numbers if you do not have anybody in your life to talk to. And get help, because we love you and we want you here.
Absolutely.
And that's all I have to say. Yeah. And if you want, I can end it for us with my favorite sayings.
Yes,
Darkness
let's hear it.
debaters. Darkness debaters. We love you. Stay here with us. Your mental health matters. It's okay to not be okay. Talk to us and keep shining light where darkness dwells. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
y'all be good.